Martin Blatt eloquently put it that Boston is the venue where America invented itself. Constant issues with the British Parliament and King over the right to self-governance, taxation policy, and what individual liberty should look like led to acts of defiance, rebellion, and eventually to revolution. Because of these key themes and moments, an engaging trip throughout Boston on the Freedom Trail allows for one to visit those historical places where the concepts of America, liberty, and freedom were fought for and forged. The Boston Freedom Trail is a 2.5-mile walking trail connecting 16 significant historical sites. It is to some extent the grand old warhorse of public history attractions in Boston. At the same time, however, the Freedom Trail was established in 1951 as a wayfinding device and a marketing tool, not as an interpretive framework. Some of the sites do offer tours and do present an interpretive narrative, but some of the sites are owned by either private or public entities and tend to have little coordination that weave together a coordinated presentation. The educator needs to be cognizant of the fact that within the trail there is no narrative logic to the trail, and that if explicitly followed, the sites cannot be arranged in a sequence of revolutionary events. Therefore, if the visit to the trail is being used as an educational trip, the teacher leading the endeavor needs to ensure that they are weaving together a cohesive interpretation in which the students should see the sites that they are visiting. The trail itself hosts structures and open spaces that represent significant moments within Boston's history. Of the most notable, when talking about revolutionary America, 8 of the 16 sites are historically oriented to that specific era. And thus, as an educator, the greatest focus and amount of time should be placed on the following location. The Boston Commons. This is the location that housed over 1,000 British troops during the occupation of Boston and was where the attack on Lexington and Concord originated from. The Old South Meeting House was the home to many a revolutionary speech, and it was the launching point of the Boston Tea Party. The Old State House was always an open defiance to the British Empire, and it was a constant event from this venue. Furthermore, the Declaration of Independence was first read to the Bostonians from here. The site of the Boston Massacre, which of course happened on March 5th, 1770, and was a fateful riot that led to the deaths of patriots and led to the propaganda battle that helped move the country towards revolution. Reenactments are held here on the anniversary of the massacre. Faneuil Hall is known as the home of free speech and the cradle of liberty. Protests against the Sugar Act and Stamp Act originated from this location. Paul Revere's house. Of course, Paul Revere was a notable revolutionary in many ways, but he is best known for his midnight ride to warn the militias that the British were on their way to Lexington and Concord. The Old North Church, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea, the steeple of the Old North Church held the lanterns on the night of Revere's famous ride. Bunker Hill, of course, this is where the British came to understand that the Patriots could hold their own in battle, and brought a large propaganda victory for the rebels. Absent from this list of notable locations are the site of the Liberty Tree and most famously the Boston Tea Party. While the sites are not on the Freedom Trail, they too can be visited, but they would require additional planning, in some cases added costs. Taking students on a trip outside the traditional schoolhouse and to a location that is historically relevant allows for students to gain historical empathy and acceptance. These traits help students understand the past and relate to the present as responsible citizens. The gaining of historical empathy allows for students to understand and appreciate what life was like for people who lived in a different time and place. This is the essential purpose of teaching history, as it provides students with a clearer perspective about their own time and place. Teaching history is more than teaching a job skill set that students will use in a professional setting, as in the case of current high school education, which is focusing heavily on STEM skills and less on the humanities. History is used to teach students to appreciate the breadth of human accomplishment, thus making them more civilized. The school field trip is an important tool for meeting this goal.